What was the moment you realized that you shouldn't have showed up to a date? 1. I dated this girl who was a friend of a friend. She used to come into the restaurant I worked at for $10 steak night with her mom and a guy who we weren't sure if was her boyfriend or brother. Turned out it was her brother, but they were weirdly close. Anyway, we went on a date. She seemed quite uncomfortable the whole time. Didn't make much conversation, just obviously wasn't into it, so I dropped her home, and she asked me if I wanted to come in. Against my better judgment I did. They had 2 couches in the living room. I sat on one awkwardly, while she laid on the other couch and spooned with her brother. At this point I realized I should not have shown up. Every time she left the restaurant from then on in, her and her brother left holding hands. 2. While perusing the menu he asked what I was going to get. I said, I'm thinking about, and he cut me off to say, they don't have 'em here. I chuckled and continued. So I think I'll have the chicken. He responded seriously with a raised voice, they don't have a chicken here either, and shook his head like I was annoying. I just stared at him for a minute. 3. That time when I walked into the restaurant where I was meeting that doctor I met online, and he was there wearing a white lab coat, to dinner, our first, and last, date. 4. I told her I had been in the military. She told me she had been engaged to 3 different guys in the military. 5. He took me on a surprise date to watch him skateboard. Yay, watched him eat crap for 2 hours, then he pouted dropping me off because he didn't nail the move. 6. When he asked me out and I said yes, he then asked if I'd like to go to dinner and what kind of food I liked. I said anything but sushi. He took me to a sushi place. Said he thought he'd be able to change my mind. 7. I picked her up and she said, let's hurry up and go. My husband will be back soon. Don't worry, we're getting divorced, but he won't want to see me on a date. 8. When I went on this date with this dude, and he had 0 interests. He didn't watch movies, series, did not listen to music, did not watch TV, didn't have any hobbies, did not have any siblings, any friends, any work, just university studies. He didn't like to cook or clean or even go on walks. It was the most awkward date I have ever been with someone. 9. A friend told me she once went on a date with a guy who spoke only about the health insurance benefits at his work. 10. When he took my sandals off in a public restaurant and sniffed them under the table, I went to the bathroom and waited for a chance to leave. Went on a date with a guy and we had some playful banter. Before our date he asked me about what I was into, so I told him I liked being choked. When we met up in the parking lot, dude immediately puts me in a WWE chokehold in broad daylight, presumably thinking my pants were gonna drop right then and there. 2. We had dinner and all was going well, and we were wandering down the dark sidewalk engaged in conversation, when she walked straight into a signpost that neither of us noticed. I let out one nervous laugh before I could stop it, and she accused me of engineering the event for my amusement. 3. She got jealous because I was nice to the waitress. 4. I was out with a guy having a lovely time and he made a comment about a copper bangle bracelet I was wearing. I told him that it was really special to me. I got it during my semester abroad in South Africa from a local. It was a solid copper band, but in the middle there was copper wire woven around. He asked to take a closer look, so I took it off and handed it to him. He then snapped it in half thinking the copper wire was a spring. I was visibly upset and he said that it was a sign that I needed to move on from my trip and stop living in the past. I never spoke to him again. 5. Having a great time, laughing. She rubbed her melons on me and played with her hair. Then after a few more laughs she said I reminded her of her brother. Nuff said. 6. Like the first 80% of it was a nice, awkward but cute first date. Then at the end she pulled out her phone and started fighting with people on Twitter and narrating all of it. It was a long drive back. 7. Not me but a friend of mine. This was when we were around 23 years old. She had a first date with a guy. They were meeting at a restaurant for dinner. She gets there and sees not only him but 2 other people at the table. Turns out he invited his parents to their date. So she, of course, excused herself to go to the bathroom and then just bounced. Talk about awkward. I have never laughed so hard as when she recounted her evening. 8. Our first date was amazing. I still reminisce about how incredible that night was and how incredible I thought my life was about to become. But the afternoon before what was supposed to be our second date, I got a voicemail. I know you went out with my fiancée last night. I'm not mad at you. I'm sure you didn't know I existed. But I do, and I'd appreciate it if you stopped seeing her.